Throughout human history, housing has been playing two major roles in a man's life. Economically, housing constitutes an important provision to a nation. It provides not only shelter, but also security, comfort, and dignity. It is a social necessity because good housing enhances healthy living, which in return influences human labor and productivity. That is why the provision of affordable housing in Nigeria cannot be overemphasized. Good to have you join me on today's episode of Housing Development, your go-to source for housing information in Nigeria. I am your housing diva, Fleur Ani. First, let's see the trending news in the sector. I'll be back shortly.
Developers at the 15th edition of the Abuja International Housing Show have called for a review of the Land Use Act to enable them have access to land for development. Some of the developers who spoke at the event said the Land Use Act is overdue and needs to be urgently reviewed to meet up with current global trends. They noted that the act, which gives the sole right to the government, makes it a cumbersome and daunting process to acquire land, which is one of the major infrastructure in housing development. They equally pointed out that policymakers, especially the National Assembly, should review the act to enable it to meet up with current realities. According to them, we cannot be operating with the decree enacted by the military regime when we are now operating a democratic system. Previously displaced persons and low-income earners in Gamdu town in Kaga local government area of Borno State have joined a fast-growing number of families in the state with access to decent homes of their own. The 300 housing units of semi-detached 2 bedrooms were commissioned recently by the Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, in company of the Managing Director of Family Homes Funds Limited, Femi Adewale, and the managing team. In partnership with the state government, the Family Homes Funds financed the project and provided other technical support required to improve the living condition of low-income earners and internally displaced persons in the state. According to Governor Zulum, Borno State began the partnership with the Family Homes Funds about 2 years ago and was delighted about the impact the partnership is making. He also promised to ensure that the remaining homes are completed within the next year and are located to the most vulnerable in the state. The government of Abia State has tasked town planners and related professionals in the state to use the pedestal provided by a 2-day retreat organized by the Ministry of Lands, Survey and Urban Planning to design an enduring roadmap that would make Abia cities the best designed in the country. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Lands, Survey and Urban Planning, Aaron Ikechi Bestman, made the call while declaring open a 2-day retreat on Abia State Town Planning Development Council Regulations 2021 held in Aba. The Permanent Secretary, who is also a town planner, restated his resolve to make the ministry the best in Nigeria, leveraging on the advantages of training and retraining staff of the ministry for optimal performance. A new report by Global Financial Integrity, an American think tank focused on illicit financial flows, corruption, illicit trade, and money laundering, has ranked Nigeria 5th among countries with the most politically exposed persons involved in real estate money laundering schemes in the U.S. The report, titled Acres of Money Laundering: Why U.S. Real Estate is a Kleptocrat's Dream, delved into the murky world of global money laundering and demonstrated the ease with which kleptocrats, criminals, sanctions evaders, and corrupt government officials chose the U.S. real estate market as their preferred destination to hide and launder proceeds from illicit activities. A key finding from the report showed that from cases reported in the last 5 years, more than $2.3 billion had been laundered through the U.S. real estate. The report recommended a more robust approach by the U.S. government in addressing the issue, including requiring real estate agents to identify the beneficial owner of a residential real estate purchase and making legal professionals the lead reporting entity for identifying money laundering risks in commercial real estate transactions.
For more news on housing, finance, construction, do well to visit www.africanhousingnews.com.
Coming up as one of the biggest housing estates in Abuja, the Brains and Hammers Bungalow City project, sited on 400 hectares of land with a 6,000 housing unit, is an affordable housing project designed to cater to the housing needs of middle and low-income earners in order to decrease the housing shortfall in Nigeria.
This is Bungalow City, an affordable housing unit built by Brains and Hammers Limited, with about 250 hectares of land. The project is divided into two phases, phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 has about 8 clusters, phase 2 has about a first cluster. But the project commences with phase 1, cluster 1.
We're building 6,000 houses of 2 and 3 bedrooms, mainly focused on civil servants and individuals. Our partners are Federal Mortgage Bank. We have investors like ARM and Inverness as well, who have sponsored some project on site. Currently, we have about 1,000 houses at various stages of completion. We intend to hand over phase 1 in actually June, inshallah.
Brains and Hammers Bungalow City consists of beautifully designed 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom detached bungalows with master bedroom and rooms all en suite with high-quality finishings, including boys' quarters and ample parking space for each house for a comfortable and serene living.
This is phase 1, or we call it cluster 1 in our illustrations. Where we are right now is where we have the 2-bedroom terrace bungalows. Phase 1 cluster 1 has about 367 housing units, which comprises of about 3 different types of houses. 3-bedroom fully detached bungalows has about 162 housing units. 3-bedroom terrace bungalow has about 145 housing units. And then the last is a 2-bedroom terrace bungalow has about 66 units.
Brains and Hammers Bungalow City is much more than just residential buildings. It is a complete package of commercial, hospitality, infrastructure, and residential development.
All the facilities that you can find in any city or any district, like in Wuse, Maitama or any other location within Abuja. We're going to have market, we're going to have farmers market, we're going to have abattoir, we're going to have filling stations, we're going to have fire service, police stations, we're going to have spiritual centers where you're going to have mosques and churches, we're going to have plazas, we're going to have corner shops, so many facilities in the estate. We have 2 sets of customers. We have individuals who are self-sponsored. We have a project that is sponsored by FMBN as well. You can subscribe and get a mortgage through FMBN. So the individuals and the mortgage subscribers all fill the form at the first activity in getting the houses. You fill the form, we give you an offer letter. After that, you make initial deposit. Then you decide whether you want to go for mortgage or you want to be self-sponsored. If you're doing self-sponsored, either you go for outright or you go for the 9 months payment plan. If you want to go for mortgage, you fill in your form, you pay the necessary contribution, then you submit your application to the PMB and they process and get the money back to us. Once that is done, within 3 to 6 months, you'll be able to get your house.
Subscribers of the Brains and Hammers Bungalow City are given value for their money, as Brains and Hammers are dedicated to ensuring that standards are met and on-time delivery of projects are maintained without minimizing quality, integrity, and utmost client satisfaction.
It is a known fact in Nigeria that the demand for housing outweighs the supply of housing. Coming up shortly is a major future of panelists of the 15th AIHS as they speak on housing finance in a post-COVID-19 era. Have a look.
Housing affordability continues to be a major limiting factor to home ownership in Nigeria, even as COVID-19 has negatively affected Nigeria's economy. A major area of concern to housing development and home ownership has been housing financing, which has often been fingered as one of the most formidable constraints in the housing sector. It is in recognition of the critical importance of finance in housing delivery that the topic, housing finance in a post-COVID era, lessons and opportunities for emerging markets, was deliberated on at day 1 of the 15th Abuja International Housing Show. This session was chaired by Hakeem Ogoniran, while the lead speaker, Maria Hoke Smith, is the Director, International Housing Finance Program, Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania. Speaking as one of the panelists, Andrew Chimponda, MD, Shelter of Freak, Kenya, says his finance institution is ready to work with partnership to provide funding to banks as well as established developers in Nigeria.
We are not experts in the market of Nigeria, but we want to work in partnerships. We do not provide end-user financing, but we provide wholesale funding. We provide funding to banks. We provide funding to established developers, likes of Mixta and a few others that we will be looking at. So we believe the future is not in focusing on small projects, but large-scale projects in public-private partnerships that work, where every partner is bringing something to the table. We also believe there's a lot of opportunity through regional integration. If anything has taught us well with COVID is this thing of relying outside of Africa doesn't work. We believe in buy Nigeria, build Nigeria. Buy Africa, build Africa.
Bank of Industry State Manager, FCT, Ogo Ifoma, also stated that Bank of Industry at this time is willing to provide finance with their innovative finance solution program to encourage more development and manufacturing in this post-COVID era in Nigeria.
What do you want to hear that Bank of Industry can offer post-pandemic and within pandemic? Our first reaction is that for those whom we finance that are contributors to the housing sector development, by which I mean the input providers. Anybody, any producer, manufacturer, outside those providing the land and maybe technical and professional services to the housing sector is my customer. The wood processing, PVC pipes and the rest of it, the windows, the glass, anything manufactured that could be used in the housing sector is my customer. If they are here, please visit us and we'll see how we can collaborate with you. A lot of talk was made concerning the suppliers, and the micro. Of course, that is my platform. We use the micro enterprises, the small and medium enterprises, and the large enterprises platform to deliver financing to suppliers of housing inputs. So feel free to communicate.
Hakeem Ogunira, MD, Eximia Realty, and chairman of the session on his part, emphasized that housing must be commoditized to increase the buying capacity.
A lot of outside of the box thinking is required. We cannot continue to do things the same way we have always done it. I've always said that for us to move this industry forward, particularly in Nigeria, two things must happen. We must commoditize housing. We have to create a system that enables us to buy houses pretty much the same way we buy every other thing. That increases the absorption capacity.
Cosgrove prepared for this moment. Every strategy, every step, it all inevitably led to this moment. It is said success is the offspring of preparation. Well, as a company, we are always ready for the next phase, and that next phase is here.
Cosgrove is resolved to be the investment partner of choice for institutional investors like BIBC to accomplish their mission. We came to a realization that Cosgrove Investment Limited is a very reliable investment company.
Today is a special day for me as chairman of BIBC. I'm excited to be here with all my board members.
That next phase is Cosgrove Smart Estate, Mabushi.
I hereby declare this project to commence.
Hi, I'm Bob Weinsheng, CEO of iBuild Global, and keep watching the Housing Development Program.
Welcome back. You're watching Housing Development. The problem of housing delivery in Nigeria is becoming a source of concern to many, as it not only affects the well-being of the citizens, but also the growth and development of the economy. Housing problem has become glaring that greater number of people living in urban areas in Nigeria live in housing environments that are dehumanizing, and those that have access to decent houses do so at astronomical costs. Now take a look at some Abuja residents grown under the heavy weight of house rent.
The decision to move the capital city to the Federal Capital Territory by the military administration under General Ibrahim Babangida seems to be fast bringing a burden on civil servants working in the capital city. This is because majority of civil servants who work and live in the capital city and outskirts of Abuja are complaining over the rent obligation they have to meet every 12 months, and this is affecting their efficiency at work and inadvertently slowing down government business. Housing Development went around the capital city to feel the pulse of Abuja citizens on the matter, and some of the respondents lamented, amongst other things, the absence of regulation to curb the excesses of landlords who seem to be operating without any human face. Abdullahi Anas is a civil servant who lives in Kubwa.
As a civil servant, federal civil servant here in Abuja, with the salary and what they are giving us as a house rent is very, very high. It's not nothing to write home about.
Adebayo Julius, in his comments, berated landlords in Abuja for failing to have a human face to see what tenants face yearly.
It's quite unfortunate that even we, the downtrodden, we are not helping ourselves, especially the landlord. I don't know, maybe because of the law attached to their name that made them to be misbehaving. Do you imagine that even despite the lockdown, some landlord will still be putting call across to you, still reminding you that your rent has expired? You stand. I don't know whether blood no longer runs in our vein. You stand. That will not make you to have human sympathy when it's come to house rent. or better, like I said earlier, or because of the Lord attached to their name, landlord, that made them to be misbehaving.
The case of Linus Njoku, who lives in Maraba, Nasarawa State, and has to commute daily to work in the heart of the capital city, simply fits the experiences of civil servants and other Abuja residents, who in their majority have set their sights on small towns like Maraba, Masaka and Suleja because they cannot afford rent in the capital city. His words: coping with the payment of house rent is a terrible situation for the country.
In the first instance, every citizen of the country supposed to own his own house. But unfortunately, because of the way things are, many of us have not been able to attain that stage. Then on the house rent itself, why I say it's a terrible situation is the landlords are not they are not being forced to regulate the house rent or the amount that's supposed to be charged on a particular type of house or a particular side of the country. So if government is fully in control, we expected that government by now should have been able to say or to make a law. Houses in this part of the country this is how much they should regulate, how much the landlord should be collecting. I know that building materials are too expensive and the government is not giving the landlords money to build or refurbish their houses. But at the same time, in as much as we have government in place, a lot of things are supposed to be regulated.
Godon Atai, in his comment, said rent in Asokoro is very high.
One needs to go extra mile to raise money to pay rent. A two-bedroom apartment can go as much as 2.5, 3 million, sometimes even 3.5 million. And if one is not really having a reasonable source of income, you cannot live there. It's unnecessarily high.
Blessed Karam, who lives in Asokoro Extension, also lamented thoughts.
House rent in Abuja is very, very outrageous, considering that Abuja is the administrative hub of Nigeria. One would expect that house rent in Nigeria in Abuja should be very, very considerate because most of the occupants of Abuja are civil servants. But to my greatest surprise, you see the house rent in Abuja is very, very outrageous that one can hardly afford. That's why you see people living in outskirts in Abuja instead of the Abuja city.
While we talk about high rent payment and housing affordability and housing for all in Nigeria and the problems that needs to be addressed to achieve it, one question we should ask is, how much can an average Nigerian conveniently afford to pay for a house? Well, let's find out on Voices on the Streets.
Depend on the location of the place of the house, you understand? There is a place whereby you can pay 2 million, there is a place where you can pay 10 million. It depend on the area of where the house is located.
I think a 3-bedroom shouldn't be more than, ideally, shouldn't be more than 15 million. Yes, but with the standard and what is going on in Abuja, it's more than that. A 3-bedroom is something that is running up to like 45 million naira, and I think it's crazy. It's too expensive.
If one should go for a 3-bedroom flat in the Garimpa area here, you can compare it with the amount one to pay for such at Lugbe or Yanya or Kubwa, as case may be.
Anywhere in Abuja, if I have the funds, I don't mind 15-20 million. If I have the funds.
If I'm opportunity to buy a house of a 3-bedroom bungalow, the highest I can pay is 4.5.
I'm Debbie Erb. I work for OPIC in the United States, and keep watching the Affordable Housing Development Program.
One of the most important issues any government can address is housing affordability, where those in the low-income group in the society can afford to own a house with ease. On that note, I wrap up today's edition of the program. Thanks for watching. Keep it the same time next week. I remain Flora Arne, your housing diva. See you soon.